Hey there YouTube, this is Mr. Budget coming through with a different type of video today. This is more of a video essay on what if Altmile got a Stride Deck set. Bushiroad had their quarterly product reveal and things like that of that nature. Restriction lists and all that, but that'll be a different video for another day. But today I was wondering if Altmile ever got a Stride Deck set, what would it might look like? So, if you saw my previous video, which I have a link somewhere in this video too, I've talked about the ride line and what the cards might do. But in this video, I will be discussing what will be in the main deck for the returning units from Altmile's previous G deck. So, starting off with the Stride units, so the first one we'll be talking about is Aerial Divine Knight Altmile. So what I have here is, for his ability, it will be in Auto, Vanguard, choose a face-down card named Aerial Divine Knight Altmile from your G-Zone, turn it face up. When placed, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets a red tech skill, constant. All of your grade 2 units get plus 5k power. Then call a grade 2 unit from your deck, and it gets constant on rear guard. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked the Vanguard cost, counterblast one, call a grade 2 from your deck with a different card name from this one, and then shuffle your deck. Let's go into that. The original Aerial Divine Knight Altmile only had the ability to do two things. Give the front row plus 3000 power, and then if you have two cards face up in your G zone, which means for you to get the full effect of area, you would have to be at GB2. You call a grade 2 from your deck and give it 5k power. So, knowing what the original Altmile was, I took the liberty to build upon that by giving all of your grade 2s on your board 5k power and calling a unit from your deck, and then giving it the ability to call another unit reminiscent of the old Altmile strategy where Altmile would have its grade 2s toggle in and out for multi-attack prowess. So by allowing the unit that you call to have the ability to call another ally out from the deck, this is a strong reminiscence to that. And that's all the Aerial Divine Knight Altmile does, the new one from what I'm creating. So it's a reminiscence of the old one, but also playing off of the old way the deck used to be built. Okay, so that is the first stride. Now we're going to go into what's considered the GB2 or the finishing stride, which again, in classic fashion of these stride decks, they are the evolved form of your grade 3 boss unit. So this is going to be Transcending the Heavens Altmile. So let's talk about the original Transcending the Heavens Altmile ability first. The original Transcending Altmile had the ability to counterblast one, turn an Aerial Divine Knight Altmile face up in your G zone, discard a card, and then superior call a grade 2 when it attacks. And then your front row gets plus 2k for every face up Aerial Divine Knight Altmile in your G zone, and the unit called gets plus 5k. So in anything, it is just a transitioning stride or a supporting stride. It doesn't really finish games by itself. It's finished the games on the purpose of your onslaughting your opponent with attacks, yes, but it doesn't outright kill your opponent by itself. So it took the liberty of kind of neatening it up and changing it a bit. So what I had for Transcending the Heaven Altmile is that, of course, the normal stride step, you have to discard with a grade 3 Altmile to even stride into this, so keep that in mind. Act, Vanguard skill, Generation Break 2 cost, discard a card from your hand, perform all the following according to the number of Aerial Divine Knight Altmiles face up in your G zone. So both strides play a hand in finishing how this deck will win. 2 or more, call a grade 2 from your deck for each Aerial Divine Knight Altmile in your G zone, and they get plus 5k. So if you have all 4 of your Aerial Divine Knight Altmiles face up, you get to call 4 grade 2 rear guards, and then they all get plus 5k. So building on top of your crest and also building columns. Then if you have 3 or more Aerial Divine Knight face up, this unit gets plus 1 drive until end of turn. And then if you have 4 or more, when your opponent would call cards from his or her hand to guarding circle, he or she must call 2 or more at the same time. So reminiscent of the same guard trick that you got from Immortal Holy Sword Feed Us. The ability to have your opponent must call 2 or more cards, that way your numbers get through. So it does have a guard stick, but it does not have an overly oppressive guard stick, because 2 cards are not a lot for your opponent to give up to guard and attack. But this is a 5 attack deck. It cannot go any higher than 5 attacks, and later in the video you'll see where the other attacks come in from, and then I'll talk a little bit about that. So those are the 2 strides that will come with this deck set if I was the one creating it, but you get the point. Next, for the main deck, you will have the original Blue Sky Knight Altmile. I'll put up an image here for those who don't know. And then the supporting grade 3 will be Knight of Connection Pictus. The original Pictus had the ability that when you ride or call it, depending on which one you're doing, you either get to add an Altmile or ride an Altmile. So I played off of that, but also I looked at the other grade 3s for the other stride decks and kind of played off of that mechanic as well. So Altmile was always about calling grade 2, so I kind of played off of that. So he has a continuous rearguard Generation Break 2, once per turn. During your turn, if a grade 2 unit was placed on rearguard from your deck by the effect of your card, this unit gets plus 10k. Then it has the auto ability. When this unit is discarded from your hand for the cost of stride, you may draw 1 card. So similar to Ballyhoo for Gear Chronicle, where Gear Chronicle's whole gimmick was bot decking your opponent's cards, and Ballyhoo would get power from that. I kind of played off of that and allowed that because Altmile calls a bunch of grade 2s. If you call a grade 2, he gets power. So I played off of that. Now we're going into the grade 2s. Only grade 3 support card is that one. For the ride line, we have Absolute Blade Knight Leverote. So I gave Leverote the ability, when placed on Vanguard Circle, cost Counterblast 1, call a grade 2 from your deck. Very simple, but very powerful because in Standard, there are a lot of grade 2s that when they're placed, they call other rear guards. So you can fill your board up off of 1 card. And then having it be Counterblast, which gives your opponent the option to damage them, so there's a bit of fairness in it. I did have the thought to give it an energy skill, but a lot of people from my feedback group told me that that would be too much. It would be a bit broken and unfair in the large scheme of the game to have that much grade 2 presence with little interaction from your opponent. The next grade 2 that we're going to go into is Knight of Twin Swords. So I'm really happy about this grade 2. If we ever do get an Altmile Stride Deck, I'm really hoping that they add this card in, because this will change Cater as a powerhouse. But unfortunately, this card will only be able to be used with Altmile. But this will change things going forward for Cater Sanctuary, in my opinion. I basically gave it the exact same ability that it had back in G, just with a stipulation that you have to have an Altmile Vanguard to perform the skill. For those who don't know what it is auto on rear guard, Generation Break 1. When this unit attacks the Vanguard while boosted and you have a card with Altmile in this card name on Vanguard Circle, cost Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 not named Knight of Twin Swords, and call it. As I said earlier in the video, that during the stride turn of Ariel, he gives a grade 2 the ability to call another grade 2. So you would use Ariel's skill, call a grade 2, and then have another grade 2 on your other side. You'll attack with the normal grade 2, attack with the grade 2 that has the ability, call Knight of Twin Swords, boost with it, and then call another rear guard. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks with your Vanguard. So you dishing out 5 attacks, very strong attacks on your first stride turn. And it's very simple. Alright, next we're going to go into the grade 1s. We have Lunar Crescent Knight Philox for the ride line. Now this is the Crest Giver. It has the exact same ability as all the other Crest Givers. Once you ride it, you gain the Altmile Crest. That's basically what it is. So we're going to go past that one right now. Alright, for our Perfect Guard, for a reprint Perfect Guard, I chose Holy Knight Guardian. It has the exact same stipulations as all the other really good PGs in the game. Next we have the Stride Fodder, Laurel Knight Sisyphus. So it has the exact same stipulation as all the other ones. If you have an Altmile Vanguard, you can discard it or search, or Altmile Crest to search out the grade 3. So it has the exact same stipulation as all the other ones. Now for our grade 1 supporting card, we have Headwind Knight Selim. So it has the ability Auto Deck. If you have an Altmile Crest, you may call this unit as a grade 2, and that's its first skill. Its second skill is that on rear guard, if your Vanguard is Altmile, this unit gets plus 5k when boosting. And if it's called to a column that has a grade 2 in it, you may Soul Blast 1 and draw 1 card. So the way this card works is that in the deck, it's a grade 1 that can be considered a grade 2 when being called by an ability if you have an Altmile Crest. And then when this unit boosts, if you have a Altmile Vanguard, this unit gets plus 5k, and then if it's placed by an ability in the same column as a grade 2, you may Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. It has a lot of good synergy with the Altmile deck. It can be called out, it gains power, and it has the possibility to draw you cards if you already have an established board. So this card alone will allow you to support other grade 2s like your Knight of Twin Swords. So that's all the cards that will come inside of the Stride deck set that are encounter cards. The rest of the deck set will have to be filled with other good Cater cards just to flush out the deck. Going into the crest now. Just like every other crest, it has all the 3 constant stipulations. You can perform Stride, your Vanguard must be an Altmile, and for every face-up card in your G-Zone, your front row gets plus 5k. So unfortunately, until Bushiroad decides to errata them, I can't really change that last part. I don't think they need the extra plus 5k power, especially in premium, but unfortunately that's just how it is. Now the unique ability about the Altmile Crest is that at the beginning of your main phase, increase or decrease all of your rear guards grades to grade 2 until end of turn. So it turns your grade 3s into grade 2s and your grade 1s into grade 2s on board, which allows you to play heavily into your Era Divine Knight Altmile's ability to give all of your grade 2s on your board plus 5k, so stipulating more power to your columns. So that is the unique ability of the crest. Now, that is the entirety idea behind the Altmile Stride Deck set that I came up with. Now, let me just talk about it just for a second. Personally, I don't like the idea of crest being in every single clan, let alone a deck like Altmile that has the ability in premium to attack 8 times. Let alone in a deck like Grand Blue or Pale Moon or Nubatama that has the ability to attack 8 times and be very oppressive. I believe that in the presentation, they needed to errata the crest and giving all of that power. And a slew of other things they needed to hit, but they needed to start there. Because of these crest decks being the way that they are, they turn into a grindy match against your opponent that eventually you're going to grind them out of the game with sheer numbers. They're going to attack you with columns that you are feasibly unable to guard with the cards that are in your hand. Especially Nubatama having the stride to rip all of the cards out of your hand until you have 4 of them. And they're attacking you with over 80k columns that multi-attack. And then they have a card in their deck that allows you to guard restrict. Or they go with the Rene play and rip cards out of your hand and then you still can't guard. I don't believe that the crest needs the power ability. Everything else is fine. It's just that last constant ability needs to be errated and taken out. Once that happens, it turns your deck into whether you want to have the ability to have your old school grade 3s have a 13k base and an additional ability because of the crest, or you go play your V-era bosses or something else. Because we're turning the format into a point where the crest decks alone are even more overpowered than the V bosses that we had. It used to be a V meta where everyone's boss was a V unit. Now we're going to a meta where everyone's boss is eventually going to become a crest giver, a crest unit. Not that alone is a problem, but now you're putting these decks behind a price wall, because if you go buy the Stride Deck set, you only get 1 copy of the crest giver, which means now the market has the opportunity to sell these things at an outrageous price just so you can play this deck. And it's only really because of the crest giving that absurd amount of power. It's not the unique abilities of the crest that people care about. It's the fact that you get raw numbers out of that to where even an over trigger shield value can't guard these successfully. So I believe that Bushiroad needs to take a hard look at premium and not choke it out like they did V. I'm hoping Bushiroad is not going down the route that a lot of us have been talking about, where they want to make standard their internal format and then begin to choke out premium to the point where it's unplayable anymore. We haven't got any decent support over the last 3 years. I'm hoping in the April presentation, they give us something for premium and address all of the concerns that the community at large have been stating and bringing to their attention. But that's my little rant on the next video that I'm probably going to get around to doing. But if you guys like this and you want to see more of this format of videos, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're updated whenever we drop a video. And if I get enough feedback and enough likes on this video, I'll probably get around to doing Asha Stride Deck set. And maybe I'll have a guest who has more interaction with that deck and can give a bit more feedback on what that Stride Deck set might look like and what might contain in there. But this has been Mr. Budget saying, keep it fun, keep it budget, and we'll see you guys here next time. Peace.